Hey, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. How are you doing, guys? It's been such a while. It's been almost 2 weeks. Sorry, I was in Paris and visiting my parents. It was so freaking cool. This week at Paris teaching was amazing. The class is so charming, as always. Same with the buddies. And then I had a week of rest at my parents' home. It was well deserved. I just went back today, maybe 3 hours ago. I'm tired. I'm starving. It's super freezing cold in my apartment because I'm waiting for the things to heat up again. I was supposed to have a pizza, but it got lost in oblivion before. So this is a starving team doing the presentation today. But anyways, I'm so pumped. I got so many great news today. I'm so freaking pumped. So yeah, pretty excited. Pretty impatient in some ways about some stuff that might happen pretty soon. I'm gonna decrease the sound, by the way. Pretty impatient about so many stuff, especially at the end of the year. Just 1 month away, but there'll be so many stuff happening by the end of the year just for me. So yeah, I'm super excited. And because I'm super excited, I was thinking, hey, let's do a stream about being patient. What it means to be patient, especially when you are learning art. What it means for your growth as an artist, from student or 0 level to pro, and how it can compound in one way or another for your career and artistic life. So this will be today's subject. This is mainly like a word of caution. This is like a don't do this, do that. This would be very easy to say, less easy to do, because the TLDR is just please don't skip the fundamentals. Don't go for the cheesy, easy ways to do stuff. Learn the hard way, learn the rules, master them, and then do whatever you want. But that's something that I have seen a lot with one specific person when I was teaching. Asia, you might know who that person is. Discussed about that previously. But yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 students during that week at Paris that were already trying to skip stuff, to cheese the exercise. And it's like, hey, first of all, you're in 1st grade. You have been there for like 2 months. We see the cheese. You're not fooling the teachers. If you're thinking you might be able to fool the teachers, guess what? It won't. It's kind of stupid. But more than that, I have already seen some students, they are in the 1st year. It's a very generalistic year. They are at the beginning of their learning stage. They are starting from almost 0, and already they want to find a niche. And I have nothing against finding a niche. Hello, Easy, how are you doing? I have nothing against finding a niche, especially early. But if that niche is too narrow, too specialized right from the beginning, especially when you have the opportunity to learn, you will wreck yourself because you will close the doors. You will close your eyes to so many stuff you can learn. And you will become very, very weak in terms of fundamentals. Let me explain. We always need to remember that, as always, as everyone says, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But when we are learning art, when we are not a professional, and even when we are professional, there's something that is very specific that happens. We talked about that in the previous videos with the Pareto's law, the 80-20% thing, basically you can achieve 80% of the result in 20% of the time if you are managing your time and your efforts well. And basically when you are learning, that's exactly what we said last time with hard work and talent, basically. Something that happened. Oh, give me a sec. I'm receiving a phone call. Give me a sec. My pizza. Give me a sec. My pizza is here. Excuse me. I thought my pizza was lost into oblivion. It's been 1 hour and a half and it's already just coming right now. I'm so sorry. Hey, I'm gonna eat that afterwards. It's cold already, so whatever. So, yeah, specializing too early. The problem with that, when you are a student, when you start learning with the 80-20% rule, which is basically you're learning 80% of the subject very fast. And it's kind of stagnating or learning very slowly. Hitting a plateau, basically. The problem with that is that as a student or as a person who wants to learn, regardless of your level, when you start learning something, it's fast and it's discouraging because of that plateau. You want to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible. And sometimes when you're a bit impatient, you want to find some ways to skip. You want to go further, but faster. And sometimes you don't want to go through that plateau. You want to find some shortcuts. And that's why you run into problems generally. Sometimes people are very smart. We're going to talk about that. Some people are very smart at finding shortcuts. You see JAMA, Ache-Kuchara, guys like that. Yeah, they are able to do that pretty well. But in general, when you are skipping things, how do you translate that? You're skipping the fundamentals, like avoiding perspective, tricky anatomy paths like hands, shoulders, faces, stuff like that. You might have a plugin that does the work for you instead of you doing the work. It might be photo bashing, kit bashing, using some ready-made assets. You might be just blatantly cheating at school, regardless of how you do that. It might be like not using the softwares that you are asked to do, not using a proper pipeline to achieve the results, stealing your buddy's work, stuff like that, or finding a niche too soon. By that I mean you specialize into something that is ultra specialized. Like let's say you want to only do realistic matte painting, military, modern, photo bashed right from the beginning. So it means you are only doing environment 3D and photo bashing. You are not learning how to paint, or to draw, or to do anatomy, or to do perspective, or to do lighting, or to do 3D. You're only doing photo bashing. In any case, it will bite you in the eye, in the ass pretty fast, like mad. At some point, you can get cornered and have no choice but to produce something. And if your fundamentals are not solid, you will just expose yourself pretty fast. Feeling that you are not following the rules, that you don't know how to produce that you don't have the fundamentals to have a steady work without any issue. That's the problem. Let's say you are specialized into photo bashing, and one day in class they ask you to do, hey, do a cartoon stuff. You're like, oh shit, I don't know how to do that. Let's say the teacher spot that you cheated and tears you apart. You're fucked. Let's say your classmates are spotting you cheating and they ostracize you. Let's say the internet spot that you have stolen something from someone that is famous. The internet will know. And more than that, in any case, when you are finding a shortcut, that's something we talked about before. I went very personal on that, but basically you are feeding your imposter syndrome. Because when you are finding shortcuts, when you are using shortcuts, you are basically tricking people into believing that you have done something bigger than what you have already done and actually done. The problem is that you can lie pretty successfully to others, but there's no way you can lie to yourself about that. You know that you have tricked people, that you have made what you have done bigger than what it is really. Maybe you have a secret plugin that does perfect unwrapping for you in 3ds Max. You're not allowed to do that. You're even a bit smart and you're trying to make some slight mistake to make sure that it does not look like the plugin has done it for you. You can play 4D chess with cheating. I was very good at that. I was very good at that in first grade. But the problem is that you know that you have tricked people. That's why it's feeding your imposter syndrome. And let's say it works. Why it won't work is in the industry, especially when you are looking for a job, because you need to be very transparent about your process and stuff like that. If it's not during your portfolio or your demo reel, it's in during the art test or during your trial month. In any case, you will learn the hard way by banging your head against the industry, and the industry will push you forward. They don't own you, they will push you away, they will reject you because you don't have the fundamentals for that. So let's try to decipher the different ways people are skipping fundamentals, why it's a problem. And after that, we'll see how to fix that. It's going to be quite a short stream, maybe 40 minutes it should be done. Then I'm gonna eat my pizza. It's smelling so good right now. But basically, let's say you are skipping the fundamentals. Like, for whatever reason, you don't learn anatomy, you don't learn perspective. You find a way to solve that. Let's say instead of learning perspective, you just learn 3D. You don't know shit about perspective. There will be some mistakes in any case. Let's say instead of learning anatomy properly for concept art, you just use DAZ 3D or MetaHuman or whatever. It will be super stiff. The posing will be shit. Let's say instead of learning how to paint, you just learn to do photo bashing. Your painter will be horrible. Your photo bashing will be relying on picture. In any case, you always know where you are weak and when you are weak on some subjects, and you desperately want to avoid that at all costs because it's basically feeding your anxiety. Give me a sec, by the way. Because you know you are bad at that. You don't want to get exposed. That's the problem. That's exactly the same problem as lying. It's like a hydra. Every time you lie, you kill one head. There's two new spinning because you need to handle hiding the truth and confirming your lie. Making sure nobody spots you. So it's more work and more work and more work and more work. And basically when you are weak on the fundamentals, and you still need to do that, you want to avoid that at all costs. Something that is very typical is people are very weak at character design, always avoiding faces. Or always avoiding the tricky part, like the shoulders. So this is where the character always has some kind of poncho-like cloak on their shoulders to hide that part. Same with the hands, they always have big sleeves. Or hands in their back, or hiding something. Done by something. That's one of the problems. You are trying to hide the dust under the carpet, and people better than you will see that. It might work with your fellow students, fellow learning artists, not with people better than you. Like your art director will wreck you. Your teacher will see that. Same, let's say you are relying on a specific software. It's very specialized. You need to learn the generic one in class. There is something specific in that software that you need to do that is completely different from what you have been used to do. Guess what? You get wrecked. Basically, you always do your best to hide it under the carpet, further expanding the idea that you have tricked people into thinking that you are good, while fearing that someone spots the big dust pile under your carpet. It feeds insecurity and imposter syndrome. Also, it restrains your possibility. If you don't know to do anatomy, there's no way you can do character design. That's the problem. That's why finding a niche too soon is bad, because you're restraining your opportunity where you could learn on that. Plus, guess what? A stressful situation when you have to do something that you don't know will always happen, especially at school. But even at work, sometimes this happens to me. I was like, hey, I'm designing environment. I'm an environment designer. At some point, it's like, hey, can you do a character jumping above the cliff right now? It's like, that's going to be tough. The character is taking so much time compared to the environment. Same with the plugins. Let's say you have a specific software or plugin that does the work for you. Like an unwrapping, a texturing tool, something doing the UVs for you, whatever. Assembling the textures, whatever. What if the school or the company that you are at doesn't have the plugin and you are not allowed to use that? And it's something very specific. Maybe you are, I don't know. Maybe you are doing your texture in 3D Code. 3D Code is a fantastic software, by the way. But let's say the company doesn't have that. What are you doing? Let's say you have a specific UV unwrapping tool that the company doesn't have or the school doesn't allow for. What are you doing? When you're at home, you might be able to do that and trick people into thinking that you have done it by yourself. But let's say at some point, your 3D supervisor or coming class say, hello everyone, guess what? You have 2 hours to unwrap that right now and you have a grade on that. Start. What are you doing? You don't have the plugin. Basically, it makes you dependent on it. And if you can say no to something, if you can't do without something, these things rules you. And again, you know that you are relying on that. There's no way you can lie to yourself about that. And some people have never unwrapped something by themselves. Unwrapping is a very good example. And I know that they are shit at unwrapping. There's no way you can call yourself a 3D artist, especially a generalist 3D artist, if you don't know how to do unwrapping. At least by yourself. Sam, let's say your plugin stops being supported or being updated in the future. What are you doing? Let's say you have a plugin to rig a humanoid character, and one day you have to rig a character with 4 arms, or with 2 heads, or with maybe some tendrils that need to act separately from the rest of the body, and you don't know to really rig. Your plugin might not work on everything. That's a problem. Same with photo bashing, kit bashing. What if you don't have the perfect photo? You're always relying on the perfect photo to have your perfect perspective and stuff like that. And let's say you're doing post-apocalyptic, that's fine. Let's say at some moments it's like, hey, it's a bit steampunk. At the same time, it's post-apocalyptic, and you're like, shit, I don't have a photo for both. It makes you almost rely on luck, on finding the good photo. And you will lose so much time finding the perfect photo. And again, it's just a photo, so you don't have the choice on the framing and stuff like that. You need to rely on that and deal with it. And let's say you have the perfect photo, and your art director is like, oh my god, it's amazing. Can you do another shot from the other side? And you're like, oh shit. Sam, pay attention when you are photo bashing and kit bashing to the legal stuff. Let's say it's going to be used in a cinematic. You have used your own private license and it's in a company. They want to use that for a company. They don't have the license. Pay attention to that, because if they have any legal problem, they turn towards you. Plus, photo bashing and kit bashing generally restrains you to photorealism. So if at some point someone asks you to do stylized work, you are dead. Let's talk about cheating and stealing stuff. It's going to be very short. Cheating. If your teachers or your fellow students see that, they will hate you. They just hate you. Especially the students, that you won't have any friends anymore. It's like you betrayed the class. Everyone was suffering, not sleeping at night. You betrayed the class. You cheated. You're not part of the clan anymore. If the industry catches you cheating, whatever that means, you're dead. Imagine you are pouring illegal stuff, like torrented stuff, into professional work, you are dead. It's just an example. When you open something made with a student license from 3ds Max, or from any Autodesk software, you open a student version of a file in a professional software, in a professional license, there's a giant pop-up that makes you freak out. So pay attention to that. And stealing stuff, just don't do it because people will know. And again, if you steal something and it goes towards the legal part of the company, you are dead. You are dead. The company will sue you. I mean, the company suing the company will sue the company, but the company will turn you as responsible. So the company suing the company will basically sue you as a person. And the company you work for won't protect you at all. So be very close attention. Let's say you have a building to design. You find something nice on Pinterest. It's from an architecture design studio in Sweden. Don't steal that. Don't steal it. If it's too close, you are dead. You might be like, they will never find out. I said never. The internet is small. So yeah, stealing stuff, everyone, we know that. Different techniques at home than at school. This one is funny. This is what I did during the first year. It was horrible. Lesson learned. Spending the entire year working 3D and photo bashing, then tracing that on paper because I didn't have the time to learn. It's basically first it's double the work. Plus, there was something very strange that happened to me when I was doing that, which is basically every time I was doing homeworks at home, it was fine. I had decent grades. Every time there was something like, hey, okay, you have 4 hours, you need to draw that right now. We are grabbing the copies at the end of the class, and we are basically reviewing that and giving you a grade. It was shit. And it happened like that during the entire year. And the problem is that the teacher was starting to question. They were like, what the fuck is going on? Every time it's at home, it's good. Every time it's in class, it's horrible. And even when it's not a stressful situation, he's doing shit in class. What the hell is going on with that guy? I was kind of able to trick them into thinking I was stressed as a stressed person. That stress was making me lose every confidence and make my hand shake, and I was too stressful. But it's not good, because during the big review at the end of the semester, the teacher was like, this guy is too stressed. He would not handle the rest of the scholarship. This amount of stress is a red flag, basically. And just for that, we should not keep that guy. Because if he's that stressed right now, imagine how much he will be if he was in the industry. And I was responsible for my own stress. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. And again, you will get exposed pretty fast if you do that. You basically different techniques or software than at school. Let's say at some point you need to do some stuff on 3ds Max, you're working in Blender. Even though you are more competent on Blender and stuff like that, you don't know to even create a cube in 3ds Max, the teacher will be like, what the fuck are you doing? Aren't you supposed to learn Blender in class? 3ds Max in class, sorry. And what about having a niche too soon? It's good to have a niche. You need to be specialized if you want to find a first job as a junior, sure. But not when you are learning. You can start to orient yourself towards something, but don't close yourself to learning stuff that, even if you think it might not be useful. I wish I listened more in anatomy class, to be honest. The problem of having a niche too soon and betting everything on that, on putting all your eggs in only one basket, is that basically the strategy of people like that is, everyone is so good that I need to be good at least something. And to be very good at least something if I want to differentiate myself from the rest. That's why I'm going to bet on only that. I will have 0 on everything else, but 18 out of 20 on that. I'm going to be the best of my class. And people will know I am the specialist at that. This is not a bad strategy, but this is a terrible plan at the beginning. Because when you are learning, everything you learn in art might be used at some point. And if it's not, at least you have the confidence to tell yourself, should I do that? At some point, I will know how to do it. When you're having a niche too soon, the strat is, I'm going to work. Let's say you have 40 hours of work per week in school on something. Hello, Novel. How are you doing?
Hello.
Let's say you have a niche too soon. This is going to be something like that. I have 40 hours in class. You have 6 hours on that subject. I'm going to spend 15 hours on that. So I'm going to sacrifice this and this and this and this subject for that in order to specialize into it. And sometimes it's like I'm going to spend 25 hours out of the 40 per week on that. My problem is that you might become good at that, but you're feeding your insecurity on everything else. And generally, there is a very bad behavior that happens, is that you want to protect your niche. And every time you see someone that is starting to learn that thing, because that person has the other fundamentals or might be a bit better than you on the overall aspect, you might be like, oh my god, I'm threatened by that person. If that person becomes at least as good as me, I'm not an exception anymore. And generally, those people, they have two choices. They either want to protect their stuff so hard that they basically freak out and mess up, or else they might actually sabotage the other people. This is a bit harsh. Let's give it 2 grades. The hardest one is you sabotage other people, like not sharing your tips, giving fake advice, criticizing them in a mean way. Or the other way, the protective way, is just you don't share anything. In any case, that's bad because people will know that you're protected, that you don't want to share your secrets, and you will just be considered as a dick. It's as simple as that. That's the problem of having a niche too soon. You need to have a niche at some point, but when the school allows you to have that niche. Not before. First year you are starting to learn, don't have a niche. Because they want, the schools and even education want you basically to see a bit of everything before deciding. If you are deciding before you have seen everything, it's like seeing a plate with food and telling, hey, I like this, I don't like this, without having tasted that. The problem if you never know if something might even taste better. Plus you become a dick. So everyone hates you, you're not a team player, and you will transpose that in the world, in the professional world actually. Because before it was just your classmate, it's for a job. It's like, oh my god, this guy is as good as me in matte painting, in realistic matte painting. Can either try to become better, or else you will freak out, and it's very hard to sabotage other people from the other side of the planet. So in any case, you're just lying to yourself. And that's the problem. What are you doing, Kitty? Cat is on the desk. Want to sleep behind the soundboard? There's a tail for the webcam. You want tea? My cat is drinking in my cup of tea right now. How are you doing? There's no tea anymore. Look at that. What are you doing? Anyways. So that's the problem. Now, even though it's hard, even though it's making people impatient, I have one last thing to say about finding a niche too soon or skipping stuff. It's also some tutors that are very specialized, that are providing very great results, but in only one thing, one very specific thing. Let's say it's a tutorial to generate some procedural spaceship in 3D, 2D, whatever. It might save your ass in some exercise at school or stuff like that, maybe. It might save your ass with few clients. The problem is that it's a gimmick and everyone doing that tutorial can do it too. And the problem is that when you are finding some tutorials, you always need to tell yourself, can I use that in other domains for other types of subject than just the one that is presented? Unless it's like a fantasy course, in that case, that's fine. But let's say it's an architecture design course. Can you use that in sci-fi? Can you use that in modern, in historical, in medieval, in fantasy? Or can you use that in only one thing? My cat is playing on my desk. So make sure, that's again finding a niche too soon. Sometimes you see a person able to do one thing very specifically, very specific, very well, thanks to a tutorial. And basically this person is like, oh my god, I'm a professional, I know how to do that. No. Because if it can only allow you to do one specific thing, it's like a gimmick. It's not a fundamentals, it's a gimmick. And the problem is that if other people do that, they become your competition. You have the same problem as finding a niche too soon. Plus, a gimmick might just need the fundamentals for that specific thing. So it's also a way for you to avoid learning the other ones. So you need to be very careful about that. But yeah. You want to learn the hard way first. And once it's part of your pipeline, once you're able to transpose your anatomy to fantasy, historical, realistic, cartoon, whatever, your design sense to whatever subject you have, then you know your fundamentals are solid. And then, once it's solid, you find ways to simplify that. Because you know you are able to do the complex way. You know to do UVs. It's taking a shit ton of time, so of course everyone is using plugins. But let's say you're using a plugin, you don't know to fix a bug, and there's a bug, it's crucial, you're screwed. That's why learning the hard way is important, because it allows you to troubleshoot when you have some problems. Basically, when you skip things, every time it's doing great, it's doing great. But as soon as there is a problem, that's where you need the fundamentals. And guess what? Shit happens all the time. So you want to learn the hard way first, then make it simpler. Because first, it makes your fundamentals solid. You can rely on that. You can trust them. You can trust your intuition and your competence to fix something. Plus, it makes you medium and tool independent. Let's say you learn a very specific way to do hard surface with like a plugin in Blender like HardOps or Box Cutter. Then you go to 3ds Max. You don't have the plugin. Let's say you learn how to model properly into Blender or 3ds Max. You jump into Maya. Of course, you will need to learn the UI again, but at least you know how to model properly something because you have the fundamentals behind. Hey! My cat was literally sitting on my pizza box. I know it tastes good. We need to finish the stream first. So yeah, it makes you medium and tool independent. Same, if you know to draw with ballpoint pen, you know to draw with pencil, digital, with an iPad or whatever. If you only know how to do digital painting, and you have never drawn traditionally, you will be very bad at traditional drawing. You will be also very bad at line drawing on the iPad, or another software or stuff like that. That's exactly my case, by the way. So, can you work professionally with that? Yes. But the problem is that you are limited. And you're a bit afraid of addressing some stuff. If someone asks me to do line drawing, I'm gonna shit myself. I don't want that because that's a problem in my career. Not whining about that. I've found a way to fix that, or some niche now. I can afford to have a niche to not have to do line drawing, and people hiring me know that they are not expecting line drawing from me, of course. But would I like to expand my skill set to line drawing and proper character design and stuff like that? Of course. Why not? Also, when you have strong... Can you hear me? The cat just stumbled upon the power button of my sound card. I'm so pissed by my cat right now. Can you hear me? Hello. Perfect. I think my cat is hungry. He has some food. Anyways, let's get back to that stream made full of interruptions. So yeah, it creates confidence, basically. Because you have the skills, you know, hey, I can't get cornered if they ask me to do a character, even though I'm specialized into environment, because I still know to do that. If at some point I'm having a dinner with my boss, he asked me to do a very quick napkin drawing with a ballpoint pen of a character design, I know to do it. Not good. Not the best, I'm not specialized into that, but at least I know to do that. It's enough. It's still better than like, oh my god, this thing is my very big weak point. I should absolutely not at all costs be exposed to that. At least it's like, yeah, I'm not the best, but I know how to do that, at least. Next. So it creates confidence instead of feeding your imposter syndrome. Plus, you know that you have earned that the hard way. It's like, I've worked for it. I suffered for it. I didn't chase that. I've earned it. And nobody can get that from me. Plus, if you are really competent, you can channel that towards other medium pretty fast. That's something you see all the time. I have been the first one to see that because I was only good at digital painting. I was not good at traditional drawing at all. At the beginning, I was very good at Photoshop compared to my other classmates. And once they did the 80-20% rule on learning Photoshop, they were able to transpose their drawing skills so fast that the difference at the beginning it was this, and the difference was only this. I was barely above their level. And if you explain something to them, it's instant understanding for them. For me, it was taking me months and months to digest that. If you have solid, real fundamental skills, you can transpose that towards other skills pretty fast. And this is how you expand your skill set. So back to that specific niche that people get. Know what? On the short term, you might be faster than your buddies, but give them just 3 to 6 more months, they would be better than you. They work at your niche. If they have the other skills. And once they are at the same level as you, there's no way for you to catch up with them. There's no fucking way. Also, it allows you to discover new tricks, new combos. If you check Jamma, for example, this guy is good at pretty much everything. He can combo different skills. He can combo Photoshop with 3D with character design and line drawing with Grease Pencil. Then get back to VR and use his drawing skill and his sculpting skills to create amazing stuff. And basically, once you have a strong foundation, you can build crazy stuff on top of it, and in any case it will stand. That's something that you can only acquire if you have the fundamentals first. The TLD of that stream is just learn the hard way, learn the fundamental, be patient. It will pay off on the long term. If you are on a short-term basis, yeah, sure, do a very specialized tutorial, no problem. But if you are here on for the long run, please, by all means, learn the hard way. Be patient. It's part of the process. And again, if it's not hard, it means that you are not learning. If something is easy, it means that you have learned it. So if you're looking for only the easy ways, you'll be only learning very little, if at all. If you're looking for the very hard ways all the time, you will learn so much. It will be tough. We have been doing an entire presentation about the sunk cost fallacy to explain how to learn something hard in the least painful way as possible. In any case, it's always on the long term, especially if you're looking for a career. There's a lot of people in the industry that get a job kind of fast, but then everyone forgot about them. I think it's Lao Tzu that says the candle that shines twice as bright burns twice as short. Something like that. This is exactly the case. When you specialize into something so much that it becomes niche, there's two possibilities. You are either very, very good at that, and you keep becoming very, very good at that, and then you expand your skills. In that case, start somewhere and you grow, you grow, you grow, you grow. Or else you have your niche, You stick to that, and at some point you reach an absolute plateau that there's no way for you to go above it if you don't have the other fundamentals. And that's why you need to learn then. Because otherwise you get stuck. It's like the stock market. It's either going up or going down. Comparatively to other people that are grinding all the time. The bar, it's higher and higher every day. If at some point you reach a plateau, it means you go down. That's why when you look at big artists that have a niche, at some point they expand. Look at Maciej Kuchara, for example. Let's share the walk. Let me share my screen. There we go. Oh, we can share it full screen, I think. And you look at Maciej at the beginning. He was doing like crazy realistic stuff. Our station, please load. There we go. I'm the only one that has a very buggy ArtStation right now. ArtStation has been so buggy recently. Yeah, crazy realistic. Photo Bash only. Maybe a bit of 3D at some point. At the time it was fantastic. It's still very good. But now we have way better techniques, of course. And slowly but surely, you see that this guy is evolving towards something a bit more painterly. This one, for example. Same with this one from Magic, I think. Starting to evolve towards something painterly. Before he was doing environment with very few characters, he's starting to creatures. Again, creatures with painting. More character posing and stuff like that. Evolve again, it's very painterly on this one. Very painterly again. More characters, whatever, professional work. At some point, boom! He's starting to transpose his very realistic skills towards something more stylized, more graphic. So with that one. You can still feel the photorealistic stuff. The drawing is still very stiff on the fingers and stuff like that, but it's starting to get stylized. Same with that one. You feel that 80s anime vibe. Same with that one. He's grinding very hard on traditional skills and characters. In between clients' work, of course. Now, boom. Now you have some stylized stuff. Some anime stuff. He's been doing some short movies like that. Learning 3D. Learning Fusion 360. He's been learning so many different softwares. Oh shit, it's not a good screen. My bad. My bad. Give me a sec. Oh my god, what the fuck is that stream today? I'm sorry, this is the... It's me getting back at work for 2 weeks. So, back at that. At the beginning it was very realistic. A lot of environments with very few characters, very few action poses. For the bashing only, no 3D. Slowly but surely it starts to move towards painting. See, it's way more painterly, it's less detailed, more stylized. Some starts to get a bit more stylized. And he's starting to do a bit of anime looking stuff, like this one. Still very realistic. You can still feel it's a bit stiff on the fingers and stuff like that. Still, it's a bit more stylized. He's walking between clients' work. This one is looking way more anime-ish already. So there's some painterly stuff. He's grinding a lot his traditional skills and character design. Sitting between clients' work. Doing a bit more of shape language, a bit more abstract stuff. And pretty fast, boom! Going towards stylized. In between, he has been learning a lot of 3D. He has been learning UI design with Ashtorp. He has been learning Fusion 360, 3ds Max, Octane, ZBrush. And all the Ghost in the Shell stuff has been done in V-Ray, Keyshot, and Fusion 360. So this is like hard surface design with CAD design and stuff like that. Same with that one. It's like Fusion 360 for Ghost in the Shell. Always expanding and building on top of his previous skills. And now with all this 3D stuff, he's able to do like a 3D animated short. Now he's pushing even further. This is 3D. This looks like Berserk. No problem. The shader is fantastic. And he's always building on top and compensating for what he didn't know to do. This stuff done in photo bashing would be pretty hard, but you see, there's 3D, hard 3D for the architecture. There's photo bashing for the fresco behind. Some marvelous designer for the characters. Probably some V-Ray or some Octane to do the renders. That's how you go from this. It's pretty niche, and today if you're a student doing that, it's not that good, to be honest. At the time, 8 years ago, it was fantastic, but now it's not that impressive. To this, but this is way more impressive. Plus he knows how to do characters, monsters, vehicles, mechs, keyframes, environment, basically everything. That's the example of having a niche, basically being able to expand upon that. Because you can do the exact opposite of being very good at everything and then becoming even better at everything. Jama. See the example of Jama. This is why I like to oppose Machi and Jama. Because Machi was a specialist becoming a generalist, and Jama has always been a generalist, becoming even more how to say a vanguard in the space. Yeah, at the beginning it was already very good. It was very painterly, by the way. Very painterly again. Very painterly. Able to do a bit of everything. Keyframes, vehicles, creatures, characters. He was very good at creatures at the beginning. Like this kind of stuff was pretty new. With 3D code. Other stuff like that. And Keyshot. Expanded again and again and again and again and again. It's gradually leveling up pretty much everything. His painting skills always through the roof. Starting to design some architecture with some photos and some 3D. Learning 3D was a big thing for Jama, because he was able to use his keyframe design skills and his painting skills to create amazing stuff like that. This is like 30-minute paint over on that picture, something like that. Again, expanding and expanding, still working on the fundamentals, doing some studies, doing some characters. Still with the painting skills right there. You see it's very rough, it's suggestive. Some huge painting skills. No, it's just a quick base in 3D. He's doing a quick base of everything. It's like the 80-20% rule applied to the ladder. He's always just going for the 80%, compensating the 20% remaining with the next 80%. So 80% in 3D, then 80% in paint over, then 80% with photos and stuff like that. That's how he's going so fast. Now he's learning sculpting. He's been learning Blender. He's ever expanding over and over and over again. And even though this is a different medium, you see he's able to transpose his skills from one medium to another. So basically, you can give him a new tool, he would be able to handle that pretty well. Look at that. Look at the quality of those 3D renders. Crazy good. Yeah. When you see the quality of some pictures, speak the Mandalorians, compared to what he was doing years ago. Let's pick, I don't know, The Ring. I have no idea what it is. Look at the quality. This is so good. This was so good too, but it was only painting. And now he's able to do the same quality of composition and colors and painting. Faster, easier, stronger. I'm pretty sure 3D is opening some opportunities to him. That's always what he's saying. Like this one, this is a mix between Blender and painting and drawing. And he's always able to push the boundaries further. He's creating amazing stuff. That's it. The TLDR is just don't limit yourself. Learn everything, then choose. It's better to have a broad range of choice and being able to choose one thing that you really like rather than telling yourself, hey, I'm only good at that, so I need to stick to it, even if I don't like it. I'm the perfect counterexample to that. I was only able to do one thing, and it was kind of tough, kind of insecure. That's only now that I'm able to expand progressively, but very slowly and surely my skills. While if I had been able to be a bit more generalistic, I might have suffered a bit more at the beginning to find the first job, but once I had my first job, I would have thrived way more into it. Because when I had my first job, when I was doing environment, it was fine. And I was like, oh, I have shy fundamentals in perspective. I'm working 3D and some stuff are pretty hard to do in 3D. Because there was no mega scans and stuff like that at the time. And I was terrified when I had to do like a snowboarding guy for steep snowboarding in the area. It was so hard to do. I was always finding a photo and trying to photo bash that. So much was just for a simple placeholder character. It made me terrified of having to do some characters in some illustration and stuff like that. So yeah. That's it. Unless you have other question, I'm gonna stop. And I'm sorry for the incident, the pizza guy, the cat, the screen that was not shared. I need to get back to the streams. Tomorrow's going to be easier. By the way, I'm announcing tomorrow I'm painting all afternoon long. I'm painting during all the afternoon. I'm gonna do one piece from start to finish tomorrow. Anyways, we'll see what we are talking about tomorrow. Probably personal project or stuff like that. Might be fun to have a relaxed subject for once. Anyways, visual speak, if I can remember it properly. For those watching the replay on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, to like, join us on Twitch to interact with us. Join us on Discord. There's a link down below to join the community with amazing people, very motivated. We now have an accountability and portfolio crafting channel. If you want to get accountable to the entire community and have them kick you in the ass when you are working on your portfolio, it's good. Or just if you want to chill with very motivated and very talented people, you can. Feel free to subscribe, join us on Twitch, feel free to ask questions, feel free to join the Discord. You can support me financially if you want. Links down below. Same on Twitch. And the other best way to support my work is to recommend the channel and the Discord and community to people you think might benefit from that. People who want to learn, who want to find their first job, who are still art students. Feel free to enrich the community. Again, we are feeding from everyone. It's like iron sharpening iron. And everyone has a skill that they can bring to the table to help the rest of the community. Anyways. Take care. See you tomorrow, guys.